Welcome to the World Channel, NBV. 50 short funny stories that will crack you up in 60 seconds, Part 5. 41. Driver's license. So I was at the local DMV to get my driver's license when my dad pissed off the lady at the counter. Turns out she was the lady that had to do the actual road test with me. We get in the car and I thought I was doing pretty well, until she starts freaking out. She has me pull over, tells me I'm the worst drive ever. After yelling at me, she demands I go back to the DMV, and the rest of the time she is on her phone. When we get there, there is a state trooper waiting for me. Gives me a field sobriety test. Literally had to take a sobriety test when I tried to get my license. At least I passed one test that day. 42. That one time I got lost, so about a year ago, I was in phys ed class, and we went around the neighborhood for a jog at the beginning of each class. I hadn't done it before because of medical reasons, but the teacher evidently forgot about it. I'm incredibly bad with directions and easily distracted, so I lost sight of the rest of the group and went completely the wrong way. I ended up being lost for 2.5 hours. The best part is that I single-handedly changed my school's phys ed policy. 43. Popcorn. My sister, mother, and I were waiting in a long line at the Sam's Club food court. The entire time I was waiting, I was mentally rehearsing what my order would be. 1 slice of cheese pizza please. My mind was repeatedly screaming at me. When we got up to the cashier to pay, I got distracted by his cuteness, so instead of asking for the pizza, I confidently said, 1 popcorn please, which Sam's Club food court has none of. Once I realized my mistake, I screamed out, "No," loud enough for 50 people to look at me. Embarrassed, I ran away and my mom and sister had to bring me the slice of pizza from my finding place in the freezer section. To this day, I beg people to order for me when anyone remotely attractive is working the cash register. 44. 50 Shades of Butt. So to begin my story I should tell you that I work at a medical spa as front desk and my job entails mostly computer and customer service related tasks. However, I am also there to assist the on-shift technician, obviously not with the lasers as I am not certified, but with helping shaving clients to prepare them for their treatment. So this particular Saturday I was asked to help shave a client's back, which was fine, it's part of my job and I just needed to be professional about it, and it's something I've unfortunately had to do before as well, so no big deal, right? Wrong. So I do the usual, I put on my gloves, grab a razor and begin assisting the tech. However, much to my surprise and displeasure, the tech suddenly pulls down the client's pants and underwear, to which I am greeted with a hairy behind. It is all I can do in my power to keep from laughing from sheer shock. I'll spare you the details, but let's just say it was not totally normal colored. Trying to stay professional, I then had to proceed and hold the client's butt cheek taunt to shave it. I finished as through and quick as I possibly could and booked it the hell out of the room. Later, when I had to book the client's next appointment, neither of us could look the other in the eye because of that traumatizing encounter. I will probably never be able to live down the moment I looked at the multicolored butt right in the crack. 45. Thanks, Mrs. Miller, you the best. One time way back in 6th grade math class, one had to fart really bad. Me being the idiot that I am decided that it would be silent. Big surprise it wasn't. The only person talking was the teacher and she was interrupted by freaking cannon fire farts. She said she was disappointed I couldn't hold it in and proceeded to tell a story of how she taught a famous athlete who did nearly the same thing. 46. Weed birthday. Last year, during class, my algebra teacher let us listen to music while we did our classwork and whatnot. So, I was just jamming, being super confused on this one problem, and I look up from my paper to ask my friend how to do it, and everyone is intensely looking back and forth between me and another girl with their fingers on their noses. As you can imagine, I was super confused. So, naturally, I also put my finger on my nose. Everybody yelled, "Oh," and turns out, it was a nose goes thing, and the other girl had to ask the teacher if she'd ever smoked weed on her birthday because it was 4/20. 47. That time in freshman year, so I was always the person who'd try to leave class really fast so I wouldn't always be paying attention to some very crucial surroundings. So I'm sitting in math class where our teacher makes us put our book bags against the wall to the side of the room. The bell rings, and being that kid that wants to get out, I don't bother putting all my stuff away and I just grab my red backpack and I'm gone. I get all the way to my science class and set the book bag at my desk when lo and behold it's not my backpack. It's another also red backpack that I had mistakenly took in my rush to get to science. So I have this mini freak out at my friend Seth sitting next to me. As a freshman and quite socially inept, I decide not to really do anything about it until lunch, which was next block. I had some paper in my arms from last class, so I decided to use those and figure out everything during lunch instead of making a scene at like literally the first week of my high school career. So we go into science class, and since it's the first week, we're always doing the scientific method lesson before anything else. My teacher asks the class for a problem we can apply to it, right? Well, guess who raises his hand? Seth. Now my teacher adored Seth, so he gets called on, and you know what his answer was? What if you accidentally stole someone's backpack? Like, you thought it was yours and you didn't mean to take it, and my teacher was like, why don't you tell me more about this? So Seth goes, oh, it's not my problem, it's hers, and points to me. Complete mortification, and even then my teacher was confused, thinking I had just come up with the problem, but no, only if. I hold up the stolen backpack, and my teacher had the most dumbfounded look, like I have never encountered someone that failed at life more than you, so he calls my math teacher, yada yada, I get my backpack. The worst part? We ended up continuing with that scenario and took notes on the scientific method using the very problem that I had created. My hypothesis? If I wasn't a complete fail, then I'd be able to get my own bag properly. 48. Virtual reality self-prostitution. I used to play a game called Phantasy Star Universe, and I would be my own pimp and my own hoe. I had my main account, let's call him Duderman, and my hoe account, let's call her Galchick, so there was like the main floor area, and people would like try to sell nudes for money, in-game, not IRL, and I was like, nobody actually does that, do they? So I made Galchick and I took off her clothes so she was in her underwear, and then I said one thing on the main floor and some guy took the bait right away. He invited me back to his house and I was like, OMG, I'm sorry, I'm new to this. How do you transfer money? And he did it to show me how, and then he asked for my character to teabag his and moan into the mic, and I was like a 15-year-old boy, so instead, I just blocked him and took the money. That's when I realized my one, true calling. I did it for months, and I'd transfer the money from Galchick to Duderman, and all my friends wondered how I had super good gear. I miss that game every day. 49. A full sun. After an exhausting, week-long festival, I was getting a lift back home in a car full of my friends. We were coming up over a mountain road with a really beautiful ocean view just at sunset. I'll never forget the outburst that followed when I said, wow, it's so beautiful, and it's even a full sun. I momentarily forgot that only moons have phases, and that the sun is generally always full. My friends have never let me live it down. 50. Socially awkward fail. So one day I was walking around, just chilling with my friends, when I see this guy reading a book. He was new there, but the book was a book I read and loved. So naturally I approach this boy, hoping to make a new friend and bond over the series. Being the socially awkward fail I planned out ahead of time what I'd say. Hey, my friends and I wanted to come over to say hi, cause I say you were reading a book I liked and I hope we can talk more in the future. But no. Once we got to him, I panicked and just had to blurt out, we've come to hello you, and I think my voice cracked and I almost started to cry. Never gonna talk to them again. Waiting for the next video with 50 short funny stories that will crack you up in 60 seconds, part 6.